Hello to everyone. I am Professor Raja, working as EC Department, SNS College of Technology, an autonomous institution, Coimbatore. In this YouTube video, I am going to discuss the interrupts of 8086. So, based on my previous YouTube video, you may have some knowledge about what is in by interrupts, how the interrupts are classified, and based on the interrupt classification, how they are handled by the microprocessor. So in general, 8086 have the two types of interrupts. One is called hardware interrupts, another one is called the software interrupts. Hardware interrupts are further divided into maskable interrupts and non-maskable interrupts. Software interrupts are divided by 256 types of software interrupts. So my previous video will give some introduction about hardware interrupts. Now that continuation. So interrupts, hardware interrupts, two types, maskable and non-maskable interrupts. So maskable interrupts are under 8086 at 18th pin, which is indicated by INTR. Non-maskable interrupts are under at 17th pin, which is indicated by NMI pin, that is non-maskable interrupt pin, interrupt service routine pin. Now we will see detailed explanation. In general, at 8086 microprocessor, the hardware interrupts are used to handle external hardware peripherals such as keyboards, mouse, hard disk, floppy disk, DVD drivers and printers. These are the external hardware which is connected to 8086 microprocessor for further action doing. So whenever any keyboards or mouses or hard disk or floppy disk or DVD driver is connecting to this 8086 microprocessor, the processor have access to perform whether an additionally added devices programming or the current running CPU program. So that under all are two types. One is non-maskable, another one is the maskable. The processor has the facility for accepting or rejecting hardware interrupts. Programming the processor to reject an interrupt is referred to as a masking or disabling, and programming the processor to accept an interrupt is referred to as a unmasking or enabling. In 8086, the interrupt flag can be set to 1 to unmask or enable all hardware interrupts, and if it is set to clear to 0 to mask or disable hardware interrupts except NMI. So NMI we cannot touch because it is called non-maskable interrupt. The user cannot have the access to do this NMI operation. The interrupts whose requests can either be accepted or rejected by the processor are called maskable interrupts. So the user have the access to change the interrupt whether they have to accept or reject it. That kind of interrupt is called a maskable interrupt. The interrupts whose request has to be definitely accepted by the processor are called non-maskable interrupt. So the user cannot have the choice to reject it. They have the choice only to accept the interrupt. Whenever a request is made by a non-maskable interrupt, the processor has to definitely accept that request and service that interrupt by suspending its current program and executing an ISR. So example, whenever you are watching the movie, suddenly any important person is calling, you have to attend that call, then only the program or previous movie you are watching is continued. So that kind of interrupt is called a non-maskable interrupt. In 8086, all the hardware interrupts initiated through INTR pin are maskable by clearing interrupt flag, that is IF. The interrupt initiated through NMI pin and all software interrupts are called non-maskable interrupts. Next one, non-maskable interrupt means the programmer cannot control when a non-maskable interrupt is serviced. The processor has to stop the main program to execute the NMI service routine. Next, maskable interrupt. The programmer can choose to mask specific interrupts and re-enable them later. The various types of non-maskable interrupts are: first one, used during power failure; second one, used during critical response time; used during non-recoverable hardware errors; used watching interrupts or used watchdog interrupts; used during memory parity errors. Next, we are going to discuss the second classifications of an interrupt, that is called a software interrupts. So in this YouTube video, I discussed the basics of hardware interrupts and what is meant by hardware interrupts. Some classifications of hardware interrupts are maskable interrupts and non-maskable interrupts. Now I am going to discuss the software interrupts, so which is the very important in 8086 microprocessor that are under the most classifications in. So whenever these types of failures will come, the microprocessor will do a hardware interrupt based. So thank you for watching my video.